The officials want to do everything they can to keep you safe. Our Holly Gregory sat down with 2 Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council members about a new summit you need to know about.
The Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council is holding the first ever summit on the topic of resiliency, how to make the area safer from severe weather and to better protect against sea level rise. We want to go in depth with this. Our guest today is Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council Executive Director Sean Sullivan. Good to have you with us, Sean.
Thank you, Holly. Good to be here.
Tell us about the upcoming meeting that's going to take place. What is resiliency and exactly what's going to happen with this?
Holly, it's the first upcoming summit of resiliency in the Tampa Bay region. We've got over 300 attendees registered for the conference, and what we will be doing is we'll be sharing ideas from each other. We'll be learning from local, state, national, and international experts who can share their experiences and policies and practices, best practices that they've done in their areas with members of the council and with meeting attendees so that we can learn strategies to become more resilient.
Each of our Bay Area communities, Clearwater, St. Pete, Tampa, the mayors are going to be attending this as well. And within each of those communities, they've all hired their own resiliency officers now who are just going to work and trying to get a handle on, what practically can we do to protect. And that's been a new position that has been created and a new position at the state level as well. And you're going to have a guest from the state level, I understand.
Yeah, we're going to have Dr. Julia Nejwat, who is the state chief resiliency officer, recently appointed by Governor DeSantis about a year ago. She will be one of our featured speakers, as will the 3 mayors from both Tampa, St. Pete, and Clearwater, who really have innovative projects that they have undertaken in their communities, in addition to appointing either a chief resiliency officer or a sustainability officer. So we're really excited about learning from the mayors about what the great work that they've done.
The economy behind all of this, sea level rise, the changing weather patterns perhaps. I know there's been, I want to touch on the price tag of not doing anything in just a moment, but sort of look at this philosophically for a moment too as well. I mean, for years we've had the climate change debate. At some point, whether you believe how it's happening, why it's happening, who's responsible, who's not responsible, if that can be set aside and everyone can come together and we could say practically we have seen X, Y, and Z. I mean, is that the point here?
Absolutely, Holly. You hit the nail right on the head. The science behind climate change is real, despite which side of the political aisle you were on. In the summer of 2017, I spent pretty much that entire summer meeting with different communities, whether it was cities or county commissions, and presenting our coalition action to them, their action plan to them, and asking them to sign on. And we did get 26 governments, and as of today, 29 governments signed on. But we do realize that storms are intensifying, that weather climate patterns are changing, and that we are in a vulnerable area. No fewer, Holly, than 5 reports in the last 2 years have identified the Tampa Bay region as being among the most vulnerable metropolitan areas, not only in the country, but in the world, to vulnerability from hurricanes and sea level rise.
And the cost of sitting back and saying, we'll see what happens?
Right, that would be potentially catastrophic economically. We know in the Tampa Bay region that we are the 16th largest metropolitan economy in the United States. And if the Tampa Bay region were its own country, we would have the 55th largest economy in the world. So we have a lot to protect. We have 3.7 million people called the Tampa Bay region home, and we think we have a responsibility to become more resilient as a region.
What all topics will be discussed, and how do you move forward with such a large, issue before you?
It's a daunting task, but it's one. I think the time is right, the science is clear, the time for action is now. But there's also a learning curve, and we admittedly need to go through that. We've got a gentleman from the Netherlands going to come and speak and tell us how that particular country, which is below sea level, has dealt with sea level rise and storm surge over the years. We've got a young lady coming in who is the Chief Resiliency Officer for the city of Norfolk. Norfolk is known as one of the more resilient cities in the nation, and they have built resiliency into their zoning code. So we'd really like to learn about that. And we have the Chief Resiliency Officer from the city of Houston, who suffered the Hurricane Harvey intense inland flooding a couple of years ago, to learn some of the resiliency practices that they have done, including taking a golf course and making it essentially a multi-acre drainage basin to hold water when we have those intense rainfalls.
You get creative when you have to, right?
Certainly do.
When is the conference?
The conference is January 7th and 8th at the Hilton Carillon in St. Petersburg.
And how's attendance so far? I know it is open to the public.
It is. It's open to the public. At this point, we've got 300 people registered to attend, so it will be a robust conference. There's a lot to learn and some great ideas that we will share. And convening the region really has been the mantra of the Regional Planning Council for 57 years. So we're looking forward to a very successful conference.
Can you say where most people are coming from? Is it business community? Is it just folks in general who are interested? Or?
Really, it's government and business. Those are the two primary target groups, if you will. We know the business has risks as well, and we think that it's important that they're in this conversation. As of today, we've got over 80 private sector partners who have joined the coalition, along with 29 governments. So it's an equal partnership that we'd like to build on, both with the private sector business and the public sector and government.
All right, well, we'll have to follow up and see how this went. Do you anticipate it being a yearly event?
We do. This will be, we call it the first annual. Commissioner Long from Pinellas County is the chair of the Regional Resiliency Coalition, and she'll have an announcement to make about next year at the conference.
All right, sounds good. We'll be following it. Sean Sullivan, thank you.
Thank you very much.